Morning, everybody. Welcome to the June 6th Henderson County Fiscal Court meeting. We're glad you're here. We're going to begin, as we always do, with an invocation, and Magistrate Bruce Todd will lead us in prayer. Please stand.
Our Heavenly Father, we thank you for this privilege of coming before you today, and we just thank you for all the things you do for us. And we just ask, Lord, that you be with this court meeting today. We just thank you for the privilege of being as masters and judges, that we can come and do the things that's pleasing to our community, Lord. And we just ask that you continue to bless us, bless our families, keep us safe. And we just ask these things in your holy name. Amen.
Amen. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Magistrate Warren.
Here.
Magistrate Alexander.
Here.
Magistrate Todd.
Here.
Magistrate Wilkerson.
Here.
And Magistrate Putman.
Here.
Gentlemen, you have before you the minutes of the May 23rd Henderson County Fiscal Court meeting. After a period of review, I'll entertain a motion to accept those.
So moved. Second.
A motion and a second. Any other corrections, additions, or comments? Please call for a vote.
Magistrate Warren.
Aye.
Magistrate Alexander.
I probably need to abstain on the 23rd and vote aye on the 31st. Can you do that?
Yep.
Split my vote.
Magistrate Todd.
Aye.
Magistrate Wilkerson.
Aye.
Magistrate Putman.
Aye.
Thank you. After several fiscal court meetings with lengthy agendas, it's nice to see one that's a little bit more reasonable. We're going to start off with two appointments that we need to make. First, we have an opening on the County Board of Tax Assessment Appeals. This happened when Kevin Herron, who was originally slated to serve in that role, asked respectfully to step back down because he was worried about a conflict of interest. So after talking it over with both Howard Moran and some other folks involved, I'd like to appoint Pam Marshall, who is a county resident and small business owner, to serve on the Board of Assessment Appeals. She is eager for the appointment and is looking forward to serving.
So moved.
Second.
Any other questions after the motion and a second? Please call for a vote.
Magistrate Warren.
Aye.
Magistrate Alexander.
Aye.
Magistrate Todd.
Aye.
Magistrate Wilkerson.
Aye.
And Magistrate Putman.
Aye.
We also have an opening on the library board, and Joan Hoffman, whose term is expiring, has expressed an interest in being reappointed. And again, this is just fine with the current library director and chairman of their board, so I'd like to reappoint Joan Hoffman to the library board.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any other questions? Call for a vote.
Magistrate Warren.
Aye.
Magistrate Alexander.
Aye.
Magistrate Todd.
Aye.
Magistrate Wilkerson.
Aye.
And Magistrate Putman.
Aye.
Thank you. And we have with us Pete Conrad from the Henderson County Water District, who'd like to update us on an extension proposal.
I'm getting thrown off here a little bit because I don't think I've ever come up here this quick. Magistrate Alexander came out and talked with me, or actually, he and I had spoken, and it is for a piece of property that is in Magistrate Todd's district, as far as I understand it, correct? We had a program for years. It was a third for bringing in water line to folks where we don't have water line to serve them. We kind of closed that down a couple years back with some of the funding issues and things like that, as far as I understand it. Sue, wasn't that kind of?
I'm
We
sorry.
kind of we had closed the accounts on the third,
Yes,
because there
we
wasn't
did
any
that.
money, and
Yes,
that was
we did.
with some budget issues and things like that. The way I understood
Yes.
it. But we'd never done anything with it until a magistrate came to us on it. We had actually been talking about it when Magistrate Alexander came and talked to me. There's a gentleman out on Ed Odie Road. I don't know if they've got maps there with them.
We do.
Okay. What you're looking at there on your left-hand side on Highway 1299, the red line is my water line. Okay, the blue is road line. So that gentleman's house is that green dot almost kind of to the right of center. And that gentleman's name is if it's James or Tim.
James.
James Green, and he's got kind of that horse farm there. The way he explained it to me, I guess they had done a oil well years ago across away from him, and it's kind of following his water right now. That property is about 4,700 feet off of where we've got water line. If he came in, we do 100 feet when we put in a brand new service, so I'm looking at about 4,600 feet, just shy of a mile of water line that would need to be put in. There's not going to be necessarily any customers out there, so we're not looking to build like a big 4 or 6 inch water main or anything like that out there, because it looks like he's basically going to be it. So what we would do is what I'm proposing to do is put in a 1 inch water line, basically like a service line for him, and we could always tap that if someone ever decides to come in later on. But like I said, we'd be crossing 2 other farms before we got to his property, but right now it doesn't look like we're looking at anybody else. And what we'd be looking for is about $4,000 from the fiscal court to be able to take care of their portion of that if we want to go ahead and continue with this third project.
Pete, to clarify, if somebody else moved in to any of the properties in between, this potentially could serve that property?
Yes, sir. Yeah, and that's why we go, I mean, instead of building a great big giant water line out there, because it doesn't look like there's going to be anything else. But if someone else did come in, we could tap that, and we're going to put it in so that we could split that off and have another customer off of it. Yes, sir.
Does that, well, I guess, never mind.
That 1 inch water line will supply another person or two?
It should. Yes, sir.
Okay.
My question was, I'll go ahead and ask just so I'll understand. I know my brother and I did a development out US 60, and we put in the water line, and then as people attached, hooked up, they then paid a proportionate share of what the original cost was.
Yes, sir.
Do they
Yeah.
still do that, or is it just a flat fee?
We haven't done that because we haven't done a lot of this kind of water line. I mean, since I've been here, we finished up the Meadow Lane, which there's not going to be any new building out there. We did do Wedding Lane. That was one of the first things that was brought to me when I first started on. And no one else is tied onto it. Usually there's also a time limit, like within the first 10 years kind of thing, is when we go back on folks that way to help pay portion of it as well.
And I'm thinking more about the individual, that if he's going to pay, say, $4,000, and
Yeah.
somebody else hooks up in 2 years, he ought to be able to get.
Yeah,
We're a
and
government agency.
that's how we'd always set it up. Is
Okay.
the way I understood it is it explained to me when it first came on. It was if someone came in the first 10 years, then we'd do that kind of thing.
good.
But after that, not so much.
I'm going to tell you, my understanding on all this was that that's a public utility, and when this is put in, the county owns this line.
Yeah.
That guy can't control that line in any
Right.
way. And if somebody wants to, you can't refuse them to be on there if they don't want to pay anything, correct?
That's correct.
That's the way I
I mean,
understood it. It's
yes.
like a public, it's like a power line.
It would be, but what I think what Magistrate Warren's trying to say is that that they should kick in.
If they would.
If they
I mean
think
that's the
there's-
way it was set up.
There's a
previously.
time limit on it, isn't
Yeah,
there?
and
Right,
that's what I
but
said
10
within the first 10
I mean,
years.
if somebody comes the next 2 days after you do it, then that.
Yeah, then I mean, if someone came in the next 2 days, they'd definitely
5
be
years,
involved
10
in this
years.
thing right off the bat.
I believe that'd be illegal.
And I know at least, when we did it, there probably was a time frame. And the county didn't get any additional money because the county was getting tax dollars for those homes. That
It was
were
basically
built.
you're kind of kicking in back to the person that ended up having to front the money on their own.
Yeah.
Like this gentleman,
Right.
Mr. Green.
But the main
split
thing
the money
is
with Mr. Green.
that guy can't control that line.
No,
No.
he
I mean,
No.
he can't say you don't hook on unless I say you hook on.
Yeah,
It's the
no,
county's line.
it's my line. It'd be just more, hey, there's going to be an additional fee for you because he paid to get it put in.
But there was some kind of legal agreement that we had to sign that said, as people tapped in, a fee was paid. Now, I don't know if that still holds, even though it's a government.
I mean, I could do something along those
legal
lines.
agreement that if somebody tapped in, they had to pay a proportion.
I wasn't
It
aware of that.
Yeah, so
I'd like to
this
see
has
it.
been.
I
this
mean,
has
I
been
can
a
set
long
something
time.
like that up.
It's been a long time ago.
Yeah.
I'd be glad to work with Pete, do some reviewing on that. Make sure we're within law and all that.
Okay.
Pending those questions,
Yeah.
what's the court's pleasure about moving forward with this project?
I say we go ahead. I say he's willing to pay, right?
Mhm.
I say let's move on with the project. It's Charles.
Is that a motion?
Yeah, that's a motion.
Second?
Any other questions?
Yeah, just one. It's kind of interesting this should come up today because there's the carriers that live, and Bill, you know where I'm talking about, back at the very end of Rocks Road. And of course, we're traveling, what you said,
4,700 feet.
4,700 feet.
Just shy of a mile.
And I couldn't remember because he's approached me several times. Now, I think there was 2 or 3 houses back there, I think, Bill. And they have no act. They're still carrying water.
Okay.
So if he was to come again and ask for a water line, what do you tell a guy like that? Bill, it's the distance, isn't it, to where we have access to a water line? It's going back towards 41A. And what was the distance there? I knew there were some issues. I just couldn't remember, but
The problem there is the shortest closest point to the water is actually right there at 41A and 60 to come across the creek. But that's the issue, is coming across
the
that
creek.
area, the creek, and how do you get there? It's one thing if there's a bridge there and you can attach the water line to it, but in this case there's
You'd have to
nothing,
go
and it
underneath.
goes underneath the field. And the other issue there is it doesn't run along the county road then. That's the shortest distance. We went along the county road where other people could possibly attach onto it at some time in the future. If it was developed, it'd be a little different, but to come in the On Rocks Road across the bridge where it is and back there, it's several miles. So, I mean, it was a distance.
I'm just saying if it comes up, I have to have some sort of explanation if this goes, if
Well,
Beth prints
you
the
would-
story.
you
So
would- My thing it would be to refer him to Mr. Conrad and see what solution they come up with cost-wise and how it would be run to that property.
thank you.
Yeah, I mean, I never look into these until it's brought up. to
I
us.
understand.
But I mean, if they're wanting to do that, I mean, it's something I can look into.
Yeah.
And start trying to pull numbers together and kind of going with this. If it's going to be a couple miles, I'm probably going to end up needing to bring in engineers and some other things. And
Yeah,
that's-
and I've never really gotten to the third with him either. So it was
Okay.
just, and it's been a while. But if it happens to come up, I'd have to have some
I'd be
explanation
more than
as
willing
to
to go
how we
out
done
there
it.
and go look at it and go. I mean, like I said, when I got the phone call, probably within, I think I called you back a couple hours later. I think because I went out there and went and wheeled it out and went and looked at it real quick and sat down with the folks in the shop and looking at a couple things and tried pulling some numbers together. I mean, it takes a little bit of time. But, I mean, we can get some estimates and stuff like that together. I mean, it's not going to necessarily be, hey, this is exactly what it is, but we can get close.
Thank you, Pete.
Yeah,
Question.
Pete was on it. Pete will get on it. I can tell you, he's done 2 projects for me, and they've been about just like that. I'll have to say that.
Question.
Good job, Pete.
We have a motion and a second. Any other comments? Please call for a vote.
Magistrate Warren. Magistrate Alexander.
Aye.
Magistrate Todd. Magistrate Wilkerson.
Aye.
And Magistrate Putman.
Aye.
Thank you, Pete.
All right, thank you.
I'm going to call on Treasurer
Thank you,
Brenda
Pete.
Ryder up to finish some business on an amendment and begin a new one, and also make some line item transfers probably.
Okay, the first thing is we need to have second reading for budget amendment number 3. What this amendment is amending unanticipated revenue with coordinating expenses into the budget. What budget amendment number 3 consists of, in the general fund, the total amount of $16,323.59. The revenue in the amount of $16,323.59 is coming from miscellaneous revenues. The expenses for these are all related to the Sheriff's Department, which would be $850 for postage for taxes, $900 jury expense, $5,000 uniform allowance, $9,573.59 for sheriff vehicles. The next part of budget amendment number 3 is for the jail fund. This is amending in the bond sale proceeds for the Series 2017 bond for the jail kitchen project in the amount of $2,215,000. The revenue is the bond sale proceeds. The expenditure is capital project kitchen. Third part of budget amendment number 3 is amending into the LGEA fund coal severance receipts which were received because Henderson County is an impact county, and these receipts are to be expended for county road maintenance. The revenue comes from two line items: $58,933.09, and then $26,223.16. Both of these are coal severance revenue receipts. Corresponding expense for these are resurfacing county roads in the amount of $50,156.25. The second part is maintenance and repairs on equipment in the amount of $35,000. Again, the total for this LGEA fund is $85,156.25.
Motion to approve the second reading.
So move.
Second.
Motion and second. Any other questions?
That maintenance and repair of equipment on county road department equipment, or just
Yes.
road department? Okay.
Yes, sir. Both of those line items are road department related.
It
All
has
right.
to be dropped into the road department somewhere.
Okay.
And those funds are limited to that purpose.
Yes,
Right.
sir.
Any other questions? Please call for a vote.
Magistrate Warren.
Aye.
Magistrate Alexander.
Aye.
Magistrate Todd.
Aye.
Magistrate Wilkerson.
Aye.
And Magistrate Putman.
Aye.
In regards to the approval for the bond sale proceeds for the kitchen project, I need to ask approval to pay for the construction invoices as they come in versus running them through court, which is what you have approved for your previous bond, your 911.
And the advantage of that is it just makes the process easier, and obviously all these funds are devoted to paying the bills, and it would make it a little bit more flexible for Brendan to go ahead and get them paid.
It's usually, right now, it's probably going to be one invoice at a time, which is forwarded by the project manager.
So as soon as you get a bill, you're going to pay.
Yes.
I mean, do we have a policy, we got a 30-day pay or 45-day pay, or we just pay monthly?
They're coming in monthly. I've got 2 to 3 right now, but it looks like they're going to come in monthly. I was not part of that
Okay.
arrangement.
That's fine.
Magistrate Todd, when we set this up, the bills will be submitted on a monthly basis.
Okay.
Okay, and the way
And-
that goes
And
is
then,
Danco, who is the major contractor, general contractor, submits the bills to Fossey and Associates, who is the project manager. Once those receipts or invoices are reviewed and approved, they're forwarded to me to be reviewed and signed off on and approved before they're submitted to the county treasurer.
Who holds the retainage?
The retainer is just subtracted from the bill, so it's in the bond amount until the end of the project is complete.
As the jail subcommittee, you can, if you want to interject yourself into that flow and have some oversight, I'd be welcome to that.
That's fine.
Make you
I
feel
just
better.
didn't want, sounding to me like we're just dropping what we do, paying this bill. I mean, but if we got once you get a bill, we got so many-
These funds for this project, for this bond proceeds, are maintained by ONB Wealth Company in Evansville.
Right.
And pretty much, I do the recording on the books here, forward the payment request to them, and they will either issue a check or an ACH, depending on what is decided by the vendor.
Okay.
If you'd like to discuss with Mr. Hubiak and Jailer Brady about reviewing those, for instance,
Yeah, we get it. I just,
We got
we're
the
good.
bills.
I'm good.
and if you have any questions, maybe bring that to court if there is some sort of question that arises. But otherwise, I think this might just speed the.
Okay, yeah, I'm good with it.
So we have a motion to accept that request.
So moved.
Second.
Any other comments or questions about that? Fairly simple request. I think.
We ultimately see them in the when you get your claims anyway, right?
No.
We will not see them in the
No, I
plan?
mean, you can. I'll maintain the file in my office,
I
but
won't muddy the water. I'm good.
I will provide you with a running account of how that account is being dwindled down, or anything else you would like to receive.
Brent, let's do that. Let's just count on doing that. To include a record of the payments made. It
Okay.
is included in the packet with claims,
Okay.
if you don't mind. So we have a motion and a second. Any other questions or comments? Take a vote on that, please.
Magistrate Warren. Magistrate Alexander.
Aye.
Magistrate Todd.
Aye.
Magistrate Wilkerson.
Aye.
And Magistrate Putnam.
Aye.
Okay. Next, I have the reading for Budget Amendment Number 4. This is the first reading. Again, this is budgeting in unanticipated revenue with corresponding expenses. In the general fund, the total amount of $332,000. The revenue part of this is net profits tax, $232,000, insurance premium tax, $100,000. Coordinating expenditure accounts, 911 bond debt service, $40,000. Treasurer's data processing, which is for the treasurer software, $57,000. Upgrading computer systems, which is for the website, $18,000. Auditing, $20,000. And contingent appropriations, $197,000. Part of this $197,000 for contingent appropriations, $20,000 of this will be transferred to the LGEA fund in a check issued to the Henderson War Memorial in the amount of $20,000. The other part of Budget Amendment Number 4 is for the state grants funds in the amount of $292,938.99. What this is for is amending in the revenue and the receipts for the final part of the Finley Addition Sewer Project, which was actually completed in July and August of 2016. So I'm amending the revenue as well as the expenditure into the budget. The revenue part is grants, $240,535.75. Prior year carryover in revenue, $52,403.24. The expenditure part of this is $292,938.99. Again, this is an in and out to complete the bookkeeping for the Finley Addition Sewer Project.
Do you have copies of this amendment for the court?
Yes.
You hand them out, please.
Oh, I don't have copies for,
Does anybody want to see a copy of this before we vote on it?
No, I'm good.
Okay. You have more to cover on that amendment?
no, that's it.
Any other questions about these amendments? Again, recognizing the unbudgeted revenue and the expenses that we've been voting on recently. And the Finley Addition, the never-ending project.
But on the Finland, that should.
It's
wrap.
closed out.
It is closed out. This is just recording the final
Yeah.
processes on the books.
I move we accept the amendments as presented.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any other questions? Please call for a vote.
Magistrate Warren.
Aye.
Magistrate Alexander.
Aye.
Magistrate Todd.
Aye.
Magistrate Wilkerson.
Aye.
And Magistrate Putnam.
Aye.
The next thing I have is approval for line item transfers, which you do have a copy of. These approvals are all from the jail fund. Asking for approval to move from the capital project construction account $402,955.28. Moving to these departments, $300,000 for deputy matron salaries, $2,370.40 to the Class D coordinator salary, $4,084.88 to the admin assistant inmate clerk salary, $11,000 to the overtime line, $500 to the telephone line, $20,000 to the utilities line, and $65,000 to the retirement line for the detention center. These are just moving what's already been approved in the budget to a different appropriation line item to meet the end of the year.
Any questions?
Well, I guess my question was, and I know this is to jail, not necessarily you, but I guess it'd be unusual that you said this is capital project construction. That it seems a little, that if we're over in capital project construction, how would we have budgeted $600,000 over to be able to move to salaries?
This
and,
capital project construction line comes from that $1 million budget amendment that was
Okay.
brought
Okay.
on,
Okay.
that was brought to court probably October or November. $800,000 of that was to go to this line and $200,000 to another. And
makes sense. I understand.
And that 800,000 turned out to be a lot more than they needed this fiscal year.
Right. Thank you for your explanation.
Any other questions or comments about that from members of the jail subcommittee?
No, we're good.
Motion to approve these line item transfers.
So moved.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any other questions or comments? Please call for a vote.
Magistrate Warren.
Aye.
Magistrate Alexander.
Aye.
Magistrate Todd.
Aye.
Magistrate Wilkerson.
Aye.
And Magistrate Putnam.
Aye.
I have one claim to Visa in the amount of $961.20, and this is paid for, or this is for judges' meeting expenses in Washington, D.C.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. This was about our trip advocating for I-69 recently, and very constructive, I believe. So. Please call for a vote.
Magistrate Warren.
Aye.
Magistrate Alexander.
Aye.
Magistrate Todd.
Aye.
Magistrate Wilkerson.
Aye.
And Magistrate Putnam.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I think we'll get HVAC started on that bridge.
Mr. Gold, any report?
Judge, I actually don't have any checks to turn over today. Kathy Daigle, my bookkeeper, is on vacation, so I'll double that next meeting.
Looking forward to that. Would any members of the audience like to address the court for the good of the county? Feel free to come up and say whatever you'd like. Thank you very much. Magistrate Putnam?
Judge, all's good in the fourth. Thank you.
Magistrate Warren?
I have one thing I'd like to bring up more from the standpoint of the Audubon area home builders. Home building continues to not be at the level that we would like for it to be for Henderson. To give you a good example, I believe the city of Henderson has only permitted one house this year, and it was a house for habitat, which is good. There's a very beneficial program for that. But then when you get in surrounding counties, there's substantially more home building that's going on. For example, even in Madisonville, which population is about the same, just in their city, they had 18, not counting what they had in the county. And last year, I think we had 32 homes built, city and county combined. Owensboro, I believe, off the top of my head, I think was 137. And so, with that being said, we would like, and maybe I more particularly would like to see a summit this fall. And a name that I was thinking about would be Summit for Opportunity and Success. And if you look at that, take the acronym, is SOS. And I think the importance of that is it's very important that we look at something. I talked about this last year, that home building was not improving, and this year we've only permitted city and county combined 11 homes. And the home building industry just cannot survive at that level. And we're losing associate members, which are your suppliers, because they don't have the ability to operate their business at a level of 11 homes, and then looking in the past years. As far as what I'd like to look at doing, Judge, would be to involve various aspects of the community in trying to determine what is causing this, what can we do to correct this, and that might include, obviously, city and county government, education sector, the unions for workforce improvement. Butch and I were just talking about the Salvation Army. They've seen an uptick in the number of people they're providing food for. Kindle, that's just the list can go on. Now, why am I doing this today? I'm not going to say that there won't be some cost involved. It's not budgeted, but it'll be minimal as far as if city and county, Kindle, Home Builders Association come together and try to do this. And the cost might be, if we had USI or the Henderson Community College to do some evaluation of statistics, they may have a fee for that. Other than that, it just would be probably a morning program. Come together and say, what do these various segments see is happening for the so.
This is an event being organized by the home builders, correct?
Be the home builder. And other, certainly other players can get involved. It's not limited to us.
But you're going to be working with their board to plan the event.
Right.
So you'll keep us.
Have you ever spoke with like Jago or somebody like that? I mean, would you want?
Well, I've talked to them about coming over, and they've got at least two subdivisions going in Owensboro right now. In Owensboro, coming up in about 2 weeks, they have a parade of homes. They have 18 homes available for sale right now. We haven't even built that many in a whole year, and they've got that many open, ready for show today or in 2 weeks. But they have not looked at coming back to Henderson for development at this point.
Yeah, I've talked to one of the superintendent that over there. I've talked to him about it before.
We'd love to get them back.
And y'all probably need to talk to him, and somebody from the city needs to probably talk to him.
Okay. Yeah. Well, we've talked to them, but they're just not interested in coming back.
Yeah,
right
they
now.
get, that's enough.
So you'll keep us appraised on how the planning by the home builders goes for this.
Right. But be glad to take input from anybody, and I will get with Kindle and other organizations, see what they come to the table. Maybe we may start a committee. I don't want this to be just a one person. I'd like for be maybe a committee. So.
Now, I was talking to a realtor this weekend, and she said there's nothing for sale. I mean, that they need houses for sale.
Right.
I mean, is any of the people in home builders willing to build some spec houses or something?
I've got one builder that talked to me yesterday about extended development on would be Green Street, Canoe Creek to be specific.
Yeah.
And I think that's going to happen.
What's he got, like 27 lots down there left?
I think so. But then you get into other areas, and I don't hear of anything. And a lot of times, as you know, Carter, they don't want to take that risk of the initial investment cost and it not turn over quick enough that they get their money back.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I know my brother's sitting on 2 right now.
Yeah. Well, and you got Greystone that did very well initially and still continues to do well.
Now, they've sold off sections of that to some investors, though, haven't they?
I know that they may. And Braxton Park, see, it's full now. And I just forgot the one out on Airline Road that Breadwell,
Bent Creek.
Bent Creek. They still have some lots available. But one of our concerns is the Home Builder Association is also assuming that everything turns around and continues to improve, like the new company that came in, the aluminum company, is going to be the shortage of available lots to meet the income level of some of the people, because there's just not. But again, go back to the home builder, the developers that we've had in the past are getting older. They don't want to develop another subdivision. And of course, Steve Parker passed away, and he was looking at it. But so some of the people that would have are just not. They're ready to retire.
But we need some houses that are between the 210 and 169 mark.
Yeah, and I think that Canoe Creek may be able to fill that.
Yeah, it's my impression the demand is there, not necessarily the demand to build, but the demand to move in.
Yeah.
And at a price that's lower than $200,000. And I know that there are various factors that impact the current roster of home builders' ability to do that, to build homes
Yeah.
for less than $200,000 on spec.
Right.
That's our challenge.
Yeah, because they're not making any money. Whenever they build a house for $200,000, they're really not making enough to take that
Right.
$200,000 risk,
Right.
on their own.
Right.
Which speaks to, for instance, land prices. The ability to acquire a piece of ground for the price that would enable them to make money on a $200,000 home. So, as a landowner too, I'm sure you're willing to help in that regard, right?
Well, and that's part of the problem. I just have a small track. Ours would be commercial. But part of the problem that is, I actually go out US 60, it's restricted in that what I see happening, because one family I know is not going to sell. My brother, obviously, he said he's not going to do anything until he passes on to the kid. You know, you go to certain areas, availability of land, it gets to be, and then you got to jump. Well, then you got the issue of availability of infrastructure. If you jump out too far, there's nothing, the infrastructure's not there. So, yeah, I mean, but all those issues is exactly why we need to have the summit to say what can we do and what kind of incentives maybe there needs to be for to do a development. You know, maybe that, as opposed to incentives for industry, maybe there needs to be incentives for developing a subdivision to get that going. So anyhow.
Well, you'll keep us
Yeah.
appraised. Master Alexander.
I'm good.
Master Wilkerson.
I'm good, thank you.
Master Todd.
It's all good in District 2.
Mr. Gold.
Judge, I mentioned Relay for Life the other day, and want to thank everybody that came out. We had a great showing from the county. The county clerk's office was very visible there. Just a whole lot of county employees there out doing a lot of good. $92,000 was raised over that, and still counting, toward a cure for cancer. And I'm just really proud that to see all the county employees, pitching in and giving back.
I agree. That was a great night. I think all around town that was a great night. The weather was perfect. Henderson Flash had their home opener that night. There was a lot of people out there. PCMA was filled. Downtown was hopping. The Relay for Life event was great. Spent a little while there, and great to see Renice's team helping out with that. So it was a lot of optimism in the air that night and goodwill. So I agree. I want to remind everybody, June 9th, this Friday is our deadline for opting out of the volunteer fire department fee, and I think as of this morning we had around 1,270 opt-outs, which puts us at about 87% participation. We're tracking on finishing up about where we thought, the committee thought, that hope we could get 85 to 84%. Probably that's where we're going to end up. I think our internal goal was 80% participation, so that's a good sign. And many of the people who are opting out again are saying that they're not opting out because they don't support the volunteer fire departments. They intend to write a check directly. They just didn't want to necessarily have to cover a fee for several properties, and that's completely understandable. The process has been smooth. We haven't had much issue with getting these people turned in, their information turned in, and the master list created. So hopefully, if the rest of the process goes as smoothly as the opt-out process has gone so far, that bodes well for the program. And I know we're eager to see how this all ends up. But so far, so good. But June 9th will be the deadline, and I just want to remind everybody, Beth, if you don't mind sticking that in there. The first meeting of the Volunteer Fire Department Subcommittee, I believe, is on the 17th, the morning of the 17th of June. That'll be at 8 a.m. at the Road Department Training Building. That is an open meeting for the public. Obviously, the subcommittee made up of the rural magistrates and myself, as well as the Volunteer Fire Department chiefs, to begin to establish the committee's work and how that's going to look, and how that process will eventually lead to recommendations to the court for future tweaks or changes to our volunteer fire department funding process. Looking forward to getting that off the ground, so mark your calendars for June 17th if you want to attend. Other than that, I I'm glad everybody's here this morning. Nice to have a relatively short and smooth agenda. We will be coming up on the end of the fiscal year, so the next couple meetings may be a little bit busier, but I think that could go smoothly as well. So with that, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor can leave.